Okay, now the first thing first, let's download Kali Linux. So Google Kali Linux, and from here go to the download, and from here you can just read the documentation and follow the steps, or from the bottom down here from the downloads you can just download Kali Linux, as simple as that. And here you need to choose your platform, like bare metal, virtual machines, mobile, cloud, ARM, whatever. Okay, in our case we will use live boot. So from live boot here we will choose 64 or 32, depends on your system, or Apple if you have anyone, but I will choose 64 and I will download it from here as torrent or as a downloadable.iso. okay, then we will use a virtual box. This is a virtual machine, it is free and open source. Okay, this is for x86 virtualization. Downloads from here, and just as simple as that, download it. Now this is for Windows, as you can see clearly, this is for Windows, but if you have OS X, Linux distribution, you want to download it for these. Okay, now after it is downloaded, open it, okay, like this, create or click on add or new. Actually we want new, and let's name it Kali Linux, and it will be Linux, and this is one. Next, let's choose 2 GB, okay, or it depends on your specs. In my case I can choose 4 GB, it's okay. So it is 4000 or 4096. Next, 8 GB will not be enough, so but 8 GB is enough actually, but we will choose, in my case I have some space, so I will put it as 20 GB. Okay, create, and as simple as that, we have it here. Now let's click on the settings, let's go to the storage from here, and here we want to choose the Kali Linux, as you can see, the empty one here, and from here choose the disk you want. Choose Kali Linux, that the one I have downloaded. Okay, and click OK. All right, now click on start to boot it up. Okay, now here you can run it as a live, or you can install it. Okay, in our case we want to start the installer like this. English, continue. United States, doesn't matter. American English, okay, continue. You can choose, by the way, you can modify this whatever you want. In our case, this actually for us, these doesn't matter for now. We just want the English language. Here choose the default, which is Kali. Domain name, leave it as empty. The full name for the new user, let's create Kali. This is the new user. The username will be Kali as well. The password, let's name it K capital Kali 123456 123456. Continue. Continue. Yes, continue. Now here actually you can choose to let them as separate, or you can have them all in one partition. By the way, it doesn't matter in our case, because this is not a system or a server to have a production system on it, because after all we are the red team here, so we are attacking the systems. So yeah, all files in one partition will do the job. Finish, continue, write changes, yes, and continue. Let's wait until it is installed. Now after it is installed and finished, now here we can choose Kali, the user, and the password we have entered, which is Kali, K capital, and 123456. This user is for the sudoers. Okay, we will talk about this later on in this course, no worries. Okay, now we have Kali Linux installed. All right, so if I click here, I opened the terminal and everything is working as expected. Now in the next lectures, we will start handling Kali Linux to master it and to start using the red team tactics. Okay, now let's dig into Kali Linux usage and explore some basic Linux command. Now from here, open the terminal. Okay, now from here, if I go to the file preferences, go to the color scheme here, you can change it to something else as you want. Actually, I prefer green on black Now, not to sound like hacker, to be honest, but actually it's better for my eyes. So if I click here, yeah, you can see that now it is better. All right. Actually, let's increase the font size. Control Shift the plus sign. Okay, so yeah, I think this is better. Let's increase this and this. All right. Now the first command, it will be ls. Ls, it is the command used for listing the files. So as you can see, ls, and here all the files or directories I have on the current path. Okay, so ls to list commands. So ls to list files. Okay, now we have clear. So you can see that if I type enter, and as you can see, now you can see that the screen is becoming chaotic. So to clear the screen, we will put the clear command. Clear, as simple as that. Okay, so we learned ls and clear. Okay, now what if I want to learn more about specific command? So for example, the ls command, I want to read more about it, about its option, about its features, whatever. So we will use the man command. The man command is used for manual. Okay, so man ls. Okay, it will show us what is the ls command will do. So list directory contents. As you can see, ls, this is the syntax or synopsis. Ls option, whatever options, then the file, whatever file. So you can see that we have a lot of descriptions, -a, all, author, p, c, f, whatever. You can read more about it, as you can see from here. Now to quit from this, you can see that press H for help or Q for quit. So let's quit. All right. So man clear. As you can see, clear the terminal screen, and it has a lot of options: -t, type, v, x, whatever. Okay. Q to quit. Now man. So this is to show the manual for the manual page. Okay. So this is man. This is an interface to the system references manuals. Okay. So you can see that it has -k, -k capital, -f, l, w options. All right. All right. Cool. So far, so good. Okay. Now, if I type ls, you can see that I am here currently. I want to know where I am currently. So if I type bwd, which is print working directory, it will show us that I am inside the home/Kali. Okay. So if I type man pwd, here you can see that it will print the name of the current working directory. Okay, so print working directory or the current directory, and it has a lot of options like -l, -p, whatever. You can read more about it. Okay, now let's clear the screen again. And now if I type ls, you can see that I am here inside the home Kali when I typed pwd. Okay, the Kali home directory. Now I want to go to the desktop, okay, where it is here. Okay, how to do such a thing? I will use the cd command. Man cd again. You can see that some of the commands are not or don't have manual. So like the cd, because it's a simple command, so it has not. So cd, then the name of the directory. Okay, so if I type ls, I want to go to the desktop. Okay, but remember in Linux this is a case sensitive. So cd desktop, the D must be capital. Now you can notice that if I type desktop, I can press the tab button. So if I press it, it will auto-complete the sentence or the name of the folder or directory. In Linux, we called it directory, not folder. In Windows, we called it folder. Okay, so cd desktop. Now you can see that, yeah, from here, from tilde mark, it changed to the desktop. By the way, the tilde mark here means it is the home directory of the current user, which is in our case, it is the Kali user. Okay, no worries. We will talk about this in details later on. But for now, follow me. Okay, now if I want to go back, I will go cd ... Okay, now ... means the parent directory. Again, we will talk about this later on. No worries. Okay, so here we will go back to the parent directory of the desktop. And the parent directory of the desktop is the home directory of Kali Linux user. Okay. Now, here, what if I want to make a new directory? I will use the command mkdir or make directory. So man make dir. You can see this is to make directory, and we have other options as you can see. here. So make dir, and let's name it test, and press ls. You can see here it is test. So cd to test. You can see now we are inside the test directory. Okay, so far so good. Now you may ask me, this directory is empty. How did we go to the dot or to the dot? There is other thing called dot, which is the current directory. How did we go there? It is not even exist. No, actually it is exist, but it is hidden. So if I type ls-a, okay, this will show all the directory. So how did I know that? Just open the manual page and press don't ignore entries start with dot. As you can see, because the dot here in Linux, it will be considered a hidden directories, okay, or hidden files. So when I type ls, it will not be shown, but ls-a, it will show everything, which is dot and dot dot. The dot here, one single dot, which is the current directory, which is the test directory. Now you may ask me, but what is the use for this? This has no meaning. No, we will talk about it later on, no worries. And the dot dot, which means the parent directory of the current directory, which is the parent directory of test, which is in our case the tilde. And we already mentioned that this means the home directory of the current user, which is Kali user, which is the Kali home page. So cd dot dot, it will go to the parent directory, and you can see we returned back. All right, so far so good. Now let's clear the screen. Now also there is other options like -p, which means create a parent directory. So for example, I have test here, right? So what if I want to create test2, as you can see, and inside it I want to create test3, like this. This will not work because test2 is not exist in the first place. So for that case, I will put -p, which is parent, and this will create test2. As you can see, if I type ls test2 directory, it will show us the content, or the content of test2, which is test3, the folder we have created. Now let's talk about another command, which is the wish command. This is to search through the directories that are defined in the path environment. So if I type echo, this is a command used to print a text. So if I type echo hi, it will print hi, as you can see in double quotation. If I type echo hi, also it will print it. But if I type echo shift hi, now you can see that the shift 4 or the $sign means that this is a variable in Linux, and this variable is not assigned. But we have environment variables called the path. Okay, so if I type it, it will see, you can see that this variable contains a listing of directories that Kali search when a command is issued without its path. By the way, this is not in Kali Linux only. This is used with Debian or Linux generally. Okay, so Debian based or Red Hat based or whatever Linux distribution. Okay, well, some of them doesn't use this or have a special meaning, whatever. Okay, but I'm talking about the popular distribution. Anyway, so if I type ls here, you can see this is a command, by the way. By the way, this is a utility that exists on the system that should be inside here. So if I type echo path, it should be either here, user local bin, or user local bin, or user bin, or whatever. Okay, so it must be inside one of these directories. So if I type which, by the way, man which, we learned that, which locate a command. As you can see, it will locate a command where it is. So which ls, as you can see, ls is aliased to ls-color, or which cd. You can see that these are built-in commands. So let's look about another command. So for example, which Python. Python is a command, and you can see it is inside the user bin Python, here where it is located. So I'm using which command. Okay, by the way, the cd and ls, these are built-in commands, so most likely they are not existed anywhere, or they are existed actually, but we will talk about these later on, no worries. Now we have another command called locate, man locate, like this. This is to find files by name quickly. Okay, So as you can see, in which turn read the database made by update db. So for example, locate Python. You can see it will start looking for all or anything called Python, as you can see. Now this list to be updated, we must use this command, update db. Okay, like this. So press it, you can see permission denied. For that case, because after all, I'm updating the whole system, or I'm updating the database from the whole system. So I must use the sudo command. No worries, we will talk about this later on. The sudo command, by the way, if I type man sudo, this is to execute a command as another user. So sudo update db. And here it will ask for password, of course, which is carry 1 2 3 4 5 6. By the way, this is a stupid password, but anyway, this is just for the sake of this course. Now we updated the database, so locate again Python, and sorry, I mistake this. I have a mistake. Yeah, it will show us the same results, by the way. Okay. Now finally we have another command. I know we took a lot of time, but these are just the basics. No worries, we will have what we learned practically step by step, and we will repeat it over and over, so you will get used to it and you will master it in no time, trust me. Now finally we have the find command. So man find, this is to search for file in directory or hierarchical. So for example, find slash, this is where we want to search, dash name, and the name which will be Python, for example. But you can see that it will start showing us permission denied, permission denied. All right. So we learned that, we already learned what we do, what should we do, which is using the sudo. And as you can see, it will show us that it found some, but here we got permission denied for this for some reason. For now, we will not handle it because this is a low level. We will talk about it later on. Okay. So we found what we want. All right. Cool. So far, so good. Now, I will provide you with exercises on what we have learned here in this lecture, so you will practice with me. Okay. Now I recommend you to do the exercises because it will be very useful for you. As they say, practice makes perfect. Now, managing Kali Linux services. As you can see, Kali Linux is a specialized Linux distribution aimed at security professionals, and it contains several non-standard features. Okay. Now, the first thing, let's start with the SSH service, or the secure shell. Now, it is most commonly used to remote access computer using a secure encrypted protocol. Okay. Now, in that case, we will use command called systemctl. Okay. Now, as we learned previously, man systemctl, as you can see, control the systemd system and service manager. Okay. So this is to control the systemd. Now, you can read more about it. The systemd is something came for process management and all of that stuff. No worry, this is not our subject currently. Now, systemctl, by the way, I can press tab again, systemctl, then start or stop or restart. As you can see, the status or status. Okay. So let's start with the status, SSH. Okay. Now you can see that it shows us that, yeah, here, if you can see, it is inactive. Now to show more information, I must provide the sudo. Now, instead of typing the same command or the up arrow button, no, I can do sudo shift1 or the exclamation mark. So this will provide the previous command, which is system status SSH, and before it, it is sudo. So sudo systemctl status SSH. So if I press enter, you can see that, yeah, it shows us this is the command. Now press again enter, and of course it will need the password because this is a sudo command, and yeah, it showed us. Now yeah, it shows us it is inactive. Now if I type the same command, okay, systemctl, not without sudo, I mean, let's start the SSH. You can see that if I press that, it will ask us for authentication or the password for this to be done. So in that case, which is using the sudo. So sudo systemctl start SSH. Here you can see that, yeah, now it is worked. How to check that? Systemctl status SSH. Yeah, you can see that here it is active, and 7 seconds ago. Now you can see by default here we have the vendor persist, okay, and we have the disabled thing here. Okay, now this means the disabled here, the vendor, which means that by default when it comes or when it is downloaded by default, it will be disabled. Now what does disabled mean? It means that it will not work or it will not run on the startup, on the boot up. Okay, so if I restart this Kali Linux machine, this SSH will not work by default. Okay, now here disabled, this is the first disabled. Okay, this is the vendor preset. Here the disabled, which means not the default behavior, the actual behavior, which is will it run on boot up or it will not. This is what is. So by default it is disabled, and it is disabled, so I must enable it. So when I restart Kali Linux, the SSH will run on boot up. So enable like that and press enter. You can see that, yeah, it is enabled. It will start creating symlinks. In Windows, it is the shortcut, which means shortcut. Don't worry, we will talk about the symbolic links and hard links, soft links, all of that stuff. Now, if I type status this time, you can see that this time it is enabled. By the way, the vendor preset, this is still disabled, and this cannot be changed, by the way, because this is how it comes from the factory, just like that. Okay, so the guys who created this SSH tool, by default they say make it disabled for more security and stuff like that. All right, but we enable it because we want it to be run over and over anyway. Now again, this is not for a blue team, this is for red team. Okay, so to be honest, we don't care. Yeah, because this is not the system we are protecting or hardening. This is our system to have attack on the systems. Okay, so this Kali Linux to attack systems, of course, not in a malicious way, I mean in a red team tactics. Okay, but we need to understand how the bad guys think and work. Okay, now how to make sure the SSH is enabled. Now you know that the SSH by default is using the port 22. Okay, the default port. So I have netstat -ntlp. Okay, this is to show us n, which means number, t, which means TCP, because this is a TCP protocol. Now again, if you are not familiar with TCP, UDP, the OSI model, the ports number, I recommend you to read more about it. Okay, well, it is not a big deal. Just have a just high level understanding will do the job. Okay, now L, which means that the status of this is listening, and P, so to protocol or program, show the program, so, or PID. So you can see that, yeah, we have it here. So here it is 22, and it is listening on 0.0.0.0, which means anywhere, and the foreign address is the same. The status is, or the state is listening, and there is no PID or whatever. Okay, now there is another command called ss, again -ntlp, and here it will show us that, yeah, 22 is running, and it is running on anywhere 0.0.0.0. Okay, now this is for the SSH service. Now let's talk about HTTP service. Now by default, Kali comes with Apache or Apache 2. So I will use the same command, sudo systemctl status Apache, and the Apache is 2. So you can see, yeah, it is inactive. Now how to do such a thing, how to enable it and to start it? As we learned previously, first we need to put start like this, then enable, okay, like this. Now there is a shortcut for this actually, which is sudo systemctl enable, yeah, as we learned, but put the flag -- now, which means it will enable it on startup, and the same time it will start it. So you can see that, yeah, it has been enabled, and it should be started. How to check that? Yes, you are correct. We will use the status command. So here it is active and running this time. Okay, now by the way, if you didn't provide the sudo, it will not show all the information. So you can see that here I already provided the sudo, so it shows us all everything here, as you can see. Now, if I provided that without, I provided the command without sudo, you can see that it will show less information, as you can see. So up here, it shows us this group, C group thing, and it shows us this, as you can see. The Apache HTTP, whatever. But here, it shows us the C group without putting more information. Or some consider it a critical information. Yeah, actually, sometimes it is a critical. Okay. Now, how to see what port it is running on? By default, it is the 80. So, again, let's run ss-ntlp. And you can see that, yeah, it is running on port 80. So, this is what we need and what we want. All right. Okay. So far, so good. Thanks for watching. Now, I will provide more exercises on this. Kindly to solve them. And if you have any question, let me know. All right. Now, Kali Linux image contains most common tools used in the field for penetration testing and red team hacking. Now, however, it is not practical to include every single tool. All right. So for that, we will use the apt. And apt, it is a set of tools that helps manage packages or applications on Debian-based system. Okay. So the first thing, let's start with the apt update. So we will use apt update command. Okay. Again, it will show us problem, permission denied. We need to provide the sudo command. So sudo shift1 as we learned previously. So sudo apt update, press enter. So here it will start updating the repository and resources here, the resources list. Let's wait a little bit. Now it is done. Now here you can see that to list the upgradable commands. So Ctrl-Shift-C, Ctrl-Shift-V, as you can see. So press enter. It will show us everything that can be upgradable in the system and with the version. All right. Now in my case, I don't want to upgrade everything. I just want to upgrade some of them, for example. So I will type sudo apt upgrade command or subcommand. Okay, and then choose the one we want. So for example, metasploit dash framework. And from where I get this, I get it from here. So if I scroll up a little bit, here it is. So metasploitable framework. All right. So just copy and paste that. Ctrl-Shift-C and delete this and put Ctrl-Shift-V. Press enter. It will start upgrading and it will tell you what it will install, what it will upgrade, and all of that stuff. You know that it will start downloading 600 megabytes. I don't need that, to be honest, for now. It will do the job. So we learned how to upgrade either the whole system. By the way, upgrading the whole system, just put like this without providing any tool. Okay, now forget about the grade. This is the grade, which is the autocomplete from the Kali bash terminal. Okay, behavior. Okay, so it will sudo apt upgrade, as simple as that, like this. Okay, and it will start upgrading the whole system. Now, what if I want to install a specific package that is not here? So for example, we don't have a PHP, so I want to install it. So as we learned, sudo apt for now. Now, not upgrade, of course, because PHP is not here. The same thing, not update, to update the resources. So it will be install. So sudo apt install PHP and press enter. As you can see that PHP is already with the newest. So let's have another thing, not PHP, MySQL, for example. As you can see, MySQL is not found. All right. So far, so good. Now, how to search for such a thing? Okay. In that case, I will use the search command. So sudo apt search this time. MySQL. Press enter. It will search for everything for MySQL. As you can see, Python-MySQL, Pure, whatever. A lot of stuff. A lot of packages. Okay. So we can choose whatever we want. So for example, this one or whatever. Okay. Now, if I want MySQL-server, press enter. You can see that this is the default core 1, which is the default MySQL server core. This is for MySQL server or default MySQL server. Just copy and paste it. So sudo apt install, and just copy and paste this, for example, and press enter. I don't need that for now. Okay, now for example, actually let's have it installed. So sudo apt, from here let's copy and paste that, sudo apt install default MySQL, and it will start installing. Okay, and as you can see that it is installed and it is ready. Now what if I don't need this and I want to remove it? So I want to install the other one, which is this one, the default MySQL server, not the default MySQL server core. Okay, how to do such a thing? I will use this command, sudo apt remove. By the way, you can see that we are using the apt command and with subcommands: install, update, upgrade, list, upgradable, and remove. So remove, search and remove. So remove, and just put the name of the package, and let's remove it. It will ask me, yeah, after this operation 10 kilobyte of the disk will be freed. Press yes, and you can see that now it has been removed. All right, cool. So far so good. Now, by the way, sometimes this doesn't remove everything, just remove the pointer or some dependencies. But if you want to remove everything, you need to put --purge command. But be aware and be cautious while using the purge, because the purge, it will remove everything related to this package. So if I press enter, you can see that, by the way, it is already uninstalled and removed. So yeah, nothing to be removed. Okay, now again, I'm telling you that on a production system, not on the server, not on the Kali Linux system, because in Kali Linux we don't care. We want things to be running and to start attacking the systems. All right, because after all, we are looking from the perspective of a red team, not the blue team here. Now finally, we have another thing, which is the D package. Okay, now this is command not using the apt. So if I type it here, this is a package manager for Debian. As you can see, D, which means Debian, BKG, so which means packages. All right, so sudo D package, we will use -i command, which means install, and put the name of the package, for example, test.dbdep. Okay, now this is just a test, no, not something to be installed, but I can, for example, if I want to install specific packages from the internet for Python, for PHP, MySQL, whatever, and I don't need to use the apt, I want it to be installed Debian file. Okay, so after I install it, for example, its name is test, so sudo d package -i install this package, which is test.d package, and it will start installing. All right, okay, cool. So far so good.